My name's Tessa Clark. I work for the Energy Saving Trust. I manage the Scottish Home Renewables Programme at Energy Saving Trust. It's a Scottish Government funded programme, so that's something I'm going to talk about today. So, I've got 15 minutes, I'm going to cover this all quite briefly. I'm going to cover firstly why we're looking at home renewables, why home renewables are so important, a little bit about the current renewables landscape, particularly in Scotland, and the funding schemes that are out there, the barriers to uptake, why householders aren't installing more home renewables, and then finally what support Energy Saving Trust offers householders. So just back to basics really. When we talk about home renewables, I'm talking about both renewable heat and renewable electricity. Renewable heat, we look at heat pumps, air source, ground source, water source, biomass and solar thermal. Renewable electricity, solar PV panel, that's the most popular renewable electricity technology that we consider, but obviously there's also wind and hydro that we cover. So why home renewables? As I said, the programme that I manage is funded by the Scottish Government, so a number of policy drivers as to why they fund this programme. But the biggest one for us is climate change and carbon reduction, which, as you know, is just increasing in importance and rising up the agenda. So everything we do, we look at the carbon impact of it. But there's also a whole load of other drivers there, in particular fuel poverty. In Scotland we have a lot of people who are off the gas grid and have very high-priced fuels, oil and electricity, and so actually installing home renewables heating systems can really help lift people out of fuel poverty. And those are sort of policy drivers, but actually when we talk to householders and why they're interested in renewables, they come up with very similar topics. So we asked householders who we supported last financial year why they actually came to our service in the first place, why they were interested in installing home renewables. We asked for their first primary motivation. Usually they have a few, but this is what they told us was the most important thing to them. And as you can see, actually reducing energy costs is was the primary motivation cited by most people. But actually reducing impact on the environment, 18% of our customers said that, and I hear a lot of people saying that people aren't that interested in reducing carbon footprint and it's all about reducing energy costs. Well, it is about reducing energy costs, but actually carbon footprint is really important to a lot of people, and people are really proactively interested in looking at how they can reduce their carbon footprint. And then the other third sort of important one is the greater warmth and comfort in the home. Just over a quarter of people looking to improve that in their home. We have a lot of people who live in hard to treat properties, very old drafty properties, and so we can advise them on home renewables, but also sort of energy efficiency measures as well. We asked the same customers, once they had installed a home renewable system and probably energy efficiency measures at the same time, because most of our customers look at both of those. We asked them what they thought the benefit of those home renewable systems had been. And we're very much focused on the carbon benefits and the fuel bill benefits, and as I showed a lot of customers, they come to us for those reasons. But actually I've highlighted some other benefits that customers told us. So, for example, 88% of customers said that energy costs had reduced, and 52% said that they'd had reduced stress because their energy bills have now dropped, which is actually incredible. Over half of our customers. I have to say, most of the customers that we have, these aren't people who are on low incomes. These are sort of higher income customers generally. So, quite sort of surprising result. And 28% of people also stating health benefits. So in terms of kind of where we are in terms of Scottish home renewables landscape at the moment, looking first at renewable electricity. So renewable electricity, the market really benefited from the feed-in tariff scheme, which was introduced in 2010 and closed in March this year, closed to new applicants. So as a result of the feed-in tariff scheme, more than 1 in 50 homes now have solar PV, which is fantastic. Solar PV has become, people see it, they know what it is, they know what solar panels are, it's become visible, it's a real sort of success story. Obviously we would like to see that going further, we would like to see more and more solar panels. There's still a huge potential in the UK and in Scotland to install more solar panels. So as I said, the feed-in tariff scheme has gone. That was a brilliant financial incentive for people. It paid a householder the amount of electricity they were generating from a renewable electricity technology, but also the amount that they were exporting as well. The UK government has now proposed the Smart Export Guarantee, which I'm going to refer to as SEG, and they haven't yet announced the final details of that. We're expecting that at some point this year, but that is going to pay small-scale generators for the amount of electricity that they export to the grid. So that's a sort of successor to the feed-in tariff scheme, but it won't look like it won't be the same level of support. Interestingly, the Smart Export Guarantee, it's up to the energy suppliers how much what the tariff is set at, that they decide to pay to householders. So we don't know what energy suppliers are going to set that rate at. It will evolve over time, but certainly looking at the sort of impact assessment of the government's consultation, they're not expecting the Smart Export Guarantee to drive a large-scale uptake of solar PV like FITS did, and that's certainly something we would like to see. And then finally, with renewable electricity, my focus is all on home renewables, but more and more we're talking to customers about energy storage and how they can make the most out of their solar panels by putting a battery inside their home as well, and we're getting more and more interest in that. And likewise, we're talking to customers about electric vehicles more. We're talking about EV and PV, and loads of customers are really seeing that link. And yeah, there's a real demand from sort of both sides. People who've got an electric vehicle and then think, oh, actually, I can put a solar panel in, or the other way around. I've got solar panels. How about I buy my next car and I'll get an electric vehicle. And then secondly, in terms of renewable heat, this is a huge part of what we do. There's a huge potential in Scotland for renewable heat systems in homes, especially because we have so many people living in off-gas areas, where, as I said, they really are paying a lot for their fuel. Similar to the feed-in tariff, we have the renewable heat incentive, which was introduced a few years ago and is expected to carry on for 2 more years. Just show you a graph in Scotland. So this was over 1 year. These were the number of domestic RHI installs in Scotland. So haven't added them up. We're about 12 or 1,300 installations. And as you can see, air source heat pumps by the majority of those, but also biomass, ground source heat pumps, and solar thermal also playing a part there. So this is just a sort of summary of the financial support available to homeowners interested in putting renewables in their home. I've mentioned the renewable heat incentive, I've mentioned the Smart Export Guarantee, which is not yet in place. I should mention with the Smart Export Guarantee, whilst we're waiting for the UK government to announce what it's going to do with that, actually we are seeing energy suppliers starting to offer their own deals to customers, so those are becoming available on the market now. And finally, we have the Home Energy Scotland Loan, which is a scheme that Energy Saving Trust administers and manages on the behalf of the Scottish Government, so I'll go into that in a bit more detail. But in summary, there is a lot of finance support out there for householders. But all of that is great. We think home renewables are great, but we know there are a lot of barriers still facing householders. Even householders are really interested in installing renewables. There's still a multitude of barriers that they face. We do research on this every year. We ask our customers, you came to us, you wanted to install renewables, and you haven't, what stopped you? And unfortunately, we're still seeing high install costs. Home renewables are, they do have a high install cost attached to them, and that is a barrier that remains, unfortunately. And then we see a whole load of things around, well, which technology is best for me, lack of confidence in technology. Maybe you've heard a bad story on the press or from your neighbour about a heat pump that didn't work. Lack of awareness about actually the benefits that it's going to bring you. Unless you've really seen that in practice, you might just not be convinced that it's the right thing for you. Finding a good installer can be a real issue, particularly in some parts of remote Scotland, or again, maybe just the lack of confidence in that installer. And finally, the disruption installation process, that can be a real issue for householders. So we're aware that these barriers exist, and our job is to try and overcome them as much as we can. So at Energy Saving Trust, we have a suite of support mechanisms for householders to try and overcome these barriers. We've designed it with those barriers in mind. So I'm just going to go through each one of these reasonably quickly. So we have something called Home Energy Scotland, which you may have heard of. It's funded by the Scottish Government, managed by the Energy Saving Trust, and delivered by 4 organisations There's basically five regional advice centres, and we offer free, completely independent, completely impartial advice to householders. You can phone up, this is the number, you can phone up and get advice on energy efficiency, renewables, transport, water. And as part of the Home Energy Scotland programme that we run, within each advice centre we have specialist renewables advisors who are really well trained, loads of technical knowledge on home renewables systems in particular. And they can actually come out to your home and carry out a property survey. We have some modelling software which will come up with a tailored report for your home that says these are the measures that you can install, and based on your home and your occupancy, this is the likely costs and these are the likely savings. And we get a brilliant demand for this. We support 12,000 people every year on renewables, like 3,000 in really in-depth situations. And what we find is that people really value that impartiality and that independence, especially when you might have a call from an installer. You just don't know whether that is information you should trust. So we can be there with that impartiality, and we can also talk householders through the installation process, through what they can expect. We can basically advise on every aspect that they need to consider, including finance. So the Home Energy Scotland loan, as I said, this is a Scottish Government funded scheme that the Energy Saving Trust manages. The Home Energy Scotland loan covers renewables and it covers energy efficiency. My side is just renewables, so I'm just going to cover that today, but it also covers a whole range of energy efficiency improvements. So householders, including owner-occupiers and private landlords, can access the loan. These are the maximum loan values available, and there's a number of sort of loan criteria which are available on our website. Essentially, this is an interest-free loan. Householders can get up to £38,500. You can combine some of those. You can get a heat pump and a solar PV system. It depends what you're looking for. But what's really interesting is energy storage systems. We introduced that as a new measure last year. That's just been about a year, that you can get either electric battery or heat battery. And we have lots of people installing those with solar PV systems, which is great. As well as being able to access advice over the phone, we've got lots of information on our website. We have online tools telling you sort of what technology might be suitable, things that you'll need to consider. One of these tools is the Renewables Installer Finder tool. So if you're installing a home renewable system, we would always recommend that you get an MCS certified installer. And what we've done is MCS installers, we ask them to register on our tool. It's completely free. And essentially, we then get customers to review, once they've had their solar panels or their heat pumps installed, we ask those customers to review that installer, so that when another householder comes along wanting to install that system, they can go on, they can find installers in their area with that technology, but they can also read customer reviews, because that's what's really important, is seeing how other people found that installer. And yeah, we get 20,000 unique users last year, so it's a really well-used tool. If anybody here is an installer and isn't on the tool, please let me know, because we're keen to get as many installers on there as possible. And another sort of online tool that we have is something called the Green Homes Network. So when I was talking about barriers, I mentioned that there's a sort of lack of confidence, lack of knowledge about systems. We still need to convince people that these systems work, and actually, people have been living with these systems for years and they work. So we have the Green Homes Network, which is a network of hundreds of people across Scotland who've installed things into their own homes. It's mainly renewable technologies, but also energy efficiency. And we're trying to get someone at the moment with energy storage, because we're getting more and more people interested in that. And it's an online network of case studies, essentially, but actually a lot of these people have also signed up. You can actually go and visit them in their home, you can talk to them over the phone and just ask them questions. Actually, what was the install like? Was it as awful as I'm thinking? You can ask those questions that you really want to ask. And again, we get loads of people using this, and it's very inspiring seeing what people have done. So that was a very quick whiz through what the advice and support that we offer to householders. If you have any questions, happy to take them now, or please consider